Jeremie Frimpong is in as the new right back. Florian Wirtz is likely having his medical on Friday, and Milos Kerkez basically confirmed his own move. But that is only just the start. Liverpool are still being linked to some real firepower. Alexander Isak is still a move that is being talked about, and Hugo Ekitike is definitely still on the radar if Alexander Isak can't be signed. Then you've got Malik Fofana and Anthony Gordon being linked as left wingers, and you have plenty of centre backs and midfielders that have been being watched closely. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. These incoming moves all depend on outgoings. Luis Diaz could be off, Darwin Núñez too, Harvey Elliott and possibly others are all names that are being linked with moves away from Liverpool. Let me know in the comments if you would like to see a video about who could leave Liverpool in the summer, because it could get chaotic this summer. But here's the scary part that nobody's really talking about. Arne Slot won the league in his first season at Liverpool. He only trusted 14 to 15 players throughout the campaign. That lack of depth was something that definitely came back to bite them when it came to crunch time in the Champions League. The players looked exhausted and it definitely affected them in their performance. But Arne Slot is ruthless. If you're not good enough, if he doesn't trust you, you're gone. At Feyenoord, there were transfer windows where there were about 6 or 7 key players leaving the squad. So don't be shocked if we see something similar at Liverpool this summer. But here's the terrifying bit for rival fans. This clear out allows Slot to build a squad of 18 or 19 players he fully trusts, not just 14 or 15. And that kind of depth gives Liverpool a real chance at something massive. And I'm not talking about the Premier League title, I'm talking about the Premier League and Champions League double. And that should scare everyone. In this video, I am going to break down every single position at Liverpool from goalkeeper to striker to show you the strength in depth the club already has, where the new signings fit in, and which areas still need reinforcements before the window closes. Let's start with the goalkeepers, a position that has always been one of Liverpool's strongest, and it definitely still is. Alisson remains the number one for the upcoming season. There were definitely whispers that this summer could be the summer that Alisson leaves, but he shut those down himself, saying that he will be staying at least until the end of his contract. And honestly, he is one of the best goalkeepers I have ever watched, and definitely Liverpool's best goalkeeper in the Premier League era. Even last season, statistically, he was right up there with the best goalkeepers in the world. And there's a new number 2 in town though. Kelleher has joined Brentford, and Liverpool have brought in Georgi Mamadashvili from Valencia, and this guy is a serious talent, one of the best young goalkeepers in Europe. He had a slow start to the season for Valencia, but he really grew into it. He was pulling off save after save, and he reminds me a lot of Courtois. Tall, dominant, and impossible to beat on his day. Third choice, well, that's either going to be new signing Armin Pexi, who is definitely highly rated, or Harvey Davis, who's another promising goalkeeper, because Jaros is joining Ajax on loan, which has been confirmed. Now, on to right backs, and this is a position Arne Slot will love. Why? Because he's got 2 completely different profiles, but at the same time, they're very similar in their profiles to work with. First up, Conor Bradley, a balanced right back who's still definitely developing defensively. But on the ball, he is fearless. He drives forward, he takes players on, and he's very calm under pressure. But the one issue that he does have is injuries. When he's been asked to play consistently, he's ended up getting injured for a very long time. And then you got Jeremie Frimpong, and I'm really excited about this signing. The guy is a machine. His overlapping runs, his pace, his energy, it doesn't stop. And because he's comfortable playing further forward, don't be surprised if you see him inside the box finishing off his chancing and scoring goals. It gives Liverpool a new dimension in their front line just because of how good he is going forward. And this is where it gets tricky though at centre back. Virgil van Dijk has signed a new contract. He's staying, he's the captain, it's simple. He will be the anchor of Liverpool's defence once again. Alongside him is most likely going to be Ibrahim Konate, but there's a big question about him. Does he extend his contract, or does he see it out like Trent Alexander-Arnold did? I think personally he will extend, and if he does, that centre-back partnership will only grow, and it will be scary watching them together again. But the depth is where the question starts to come up, where things start to get interesting. Jarell Quansah has had some great moments in the last couple of seasons, but he's also had many mistakes. There's talent there, no doubt, But if a big offer comes in, and I'm talking 35 to 40 million with Bayer Leverkusen interested, Liverpool could sell. He's decent as a fourth choice centre-back, but the club may cash in. And then you have Joe Gomez, and that is someone who has been at Liverpool for a very long time, a loyal servant. But injuries have continuously happened, and it happened again last season. He can either stay as a fourth choice centre-back just because he's homegrown, or Liverpool might move him on so that they can bring in a new centre-back. The bottom line is, if Jarrell Quansah or Joe Gomez go, Liverpool must bring in a centre-back. They've been linked to Dean Huijsen before, but I want a left-sided, left-footed centre-back, and I'm thinking about Castello Luqueba from RB Leipzig or Jared Branthwaite, who has also been linked to Liverpool. When you go to the left backs, and that is close to being sorted. Milos Kerkez is coming in and he has an abundance of energy. His overlapping runs, his stamina, the way he's so confident with the ball at his feet, when he flies forward, it will open up space for whoever's at left wing and he will be fantastic to watch. And then as a backup, you have Andy Robertson, and in my opinion, I want him to stay, but of course it's up to him. If he wants to go to Atletico Madrid, we well could see him leaving. But I love the fact he's experienced, he's got great leadership, and he would be an excellent backup left back to have in the squad. But he's a guaranteed starter somewhere else, so if he wants to start, then feel free to leave because he has been a legend at the club. As for Kostas Tsimikas, in my opinion, he's been a great squad player, but it's time to go. Arne Slot doesn't trust him. There's no point keeping him in the squad. So let him go. Let Robertson, if he wants to go, go as well. And then bring in someone like Joro Hato and completely refresh that left back position because it's going to be needed, especially if Arne Slot doesn't trust Tsimikas. Let's move into the midfield, a really exciting part of Liverpool's squad, packed with talent, but still with some key areas that need fixing, and I'm going to touch on that. First up, we have Wataru Endo, and this guy is so important to the squad. He's basically confirmed in his interviews that he's happy to stay at Liverpool and he will not be leaving. And I think his experience, his game management and his calmness under pressure late into games is gold dust for Liverpool, especially when the games are very tight. And if he's staying this season, it's a massive asset for Liverpool going forward. And then you have Ryan Gravenberch, who is now technically the main defensive midfielder. He was flying last season. Physically dominant, he was brilliant to watch, and his dribbling ability was absolutely insane. But what I want to see more from him this season coming is more progression with his passing. He needs to be able to pick out the attacking midfielders with his passing as well as his carrying. Going on to left centre mid, we've got Alexis McAllister. I'm not even going to talk too much about him because for me, he was the best midfielder in the Premier League. On the ball, off the ball, running into spaces, he was running the show. And behind him, we have Curtis Jones, who provides solid depth. People don't want to admit it and they talk down on Curtis Jones, but as a fourth or fifth choice centre mid, he is an excellent option. He brings control, composure and confidence with the ball at his feet. But next season could be crucial for him. If he doesn't find himself in the first team and he's a bench option again, I wouldn't be surprised if he looks for a move next summer. Now to the attacking midfielders, and this is where things get really spicy. Dominic Szoboszlai, the engine of the midfield. He runs, and I mean he runs non-stop. Defensively, he's relentless. He brings structure to Liverpool's rest defence. But on the ball, he can definitely improve because he's got a rocket of a shot, because he's able to create, and we need to see more of that next season, especially when you think about us getting Florian Wirtz. That guy is the best attacking midfielder on the planet. Graceful, intelligent, always in control of time and space. His vision, his awareness, he makes everything around him flow around him. Wirtz is going to be so fun to watch for Liverpool, and you've already seen that I've made a couple of videos on him, so go check them out after this video. Now, there's going to be a few midfield exits. Unfortunately, Harvey Elliott is probably one of them. I love him as a player. He's extremely brave with the ball at his feet. He's extremely creative, but that lack of physicality means he doesn't suit Arne Slot, and he's still a brilliant asset going elsewhere in the Premier League. Tyler Morton is also another one who is very likely to leave, and Stefan Bajcetic could also go out on loan. Just like the centre-back situation, the midfield is almost complete, but I feel like we're missing a passing-orientated defensive midfielder. I'm thinking Adam Morton or Angelo Stiller as a new defensive midfielder to bring competition alongside Ryan Gravenberch and to give us something different in the midfield that could really complete complete that midfield unit that we currently have. In my opinion, it's not as urgent as the centre-back situation or the striker situation, but it's one to keep an eye on. Now let's get to the real juicy part, the front three. Let's start on the right because it's definitely confirmed. Mohamed Salah. Honestly, we only need him as a right winger. He barely gets injured, he's always available, and last season was arguably his best ever for Liverpool. He's still world class, and I expect him to be world class going into the new season, especially with that burden coming off him with the likes of Florian Wirtz joining the club. But what about his backup? Well, Federico Chiesa was linked to a move in January, and I think this summer he will be heading back to Italy. It's a World Cup year, he's going to want to play consistently, and he's want to go to the World Cup. So unless something changes, I definitely expect him to leave. Now the question is, does Arne Slot bring in a new right winger to be a backup to Salah, or does he trust someone like Ben Doak, who was out on loan and impressed, to come in and be a backup to Salah? That is definitely a question to think about. Next up, we have Cody Gakpo. This guy has quietly become a guaranteed attacker in the squad. He stepped up in the big games, he scored crucial goals, and he's really mastered that back post cross that he produces from that left hand side. There's been some Bayern Munich rumours, but being honest, with Arne Slot being Dutch, with Cody Gakpo being so important in the squad, I expect him to stay this season definitely. Then we've got Luis Diaz. There's interest from Barcelona. There's interest from Saudi Arabia. Barcelona don't have enough money, and Saudi Arabia haven't yet confirmed if they want to sign him. In my opinion, don't give Luis Diaz a new contract, but definitely keep him in the club. Let him start the season as a backup winger or backup striker because he's versatile enough to cover both. But this is where it gets interesting, because if Luis Diaz is going to be a backup striker, Diogo Jota might have to go. Jota was actually Arne Slot's favourite number 9, but the injuries, the lack of athleticism, it all took its toll, and he definitely didn't perform as the number 9 everyone expected him to. It might be best for both parties if he just moves on. He'll want consistent minutes, and Liverpool don't have that option for him to be consistent. They might want someone more durable as an option in the long term. And then you have Darwin Núñez, who's the final attacker we need to talk about, and it's confirmed he will be leaving. The only question is where. Napoli want him, the Saudi clubs are circling, there's definitely a market for him. And look, I love Darwin. The fire, the chaos, the energy. He is something that he made you feel something when you watched him. But the truth is, he never brought the consistency or the technical quality needed at this level. And the sad part is, with Florian Wirtz joining, I actually think that suited Darwin. But mentally, he has already checked out of the club. So what does this all mean? We need a new striker if Darwin Núñez leaves, no question. A left winger also may be needed, but that depends on if Luis Diaz or Diogo Jota leave. If both of them stay, then we're definitely fine. So to wrap it all up, this summer isn't just about transfers from Liverpool. It's about Arne Slot reshaping the squad into something that he trusts. He's not interested in carrying players for no reason. He wants to trim the fat off the squad, make room, and replace them with names that he definitely feels are first 11 quality. That means, unlike last season where he had 13 or 14 players that he trusts, he will now have 16 to 18 players that he trusts, and that has huge implications. Last year, Liverpool were rolling out the same 11 over and over again, even in intense fixture lists, and you could see the effects: fatigue, a higher risk of injury, and tactical predictability. But with better depth, Slot can now rotate smartly without compromising the quality. Players stay fresher, the injury list shrinks, and tactically he can do a lot more. We've already seen that Arne Slot loves to tinker in games. We've seen him shift shapes mid-game from a 4-3-3 to a 4-3-2-1 to even a 4-4-2. And that ability to adapt depending on the opposition becomes a genuine weapon. And now he finally has the tools to make it work. And let's not ignore the quality of signings that he's making, by the way. Milos Kerkez was one of the best left backs in the Premier League last season. Jeremie Frimpong was one of the most sought after right backs for a couple of seasons now, and Florian Wirtz was wanted by Bayern Munich and Manchester City, but Liverpool won the race for him. These aren't depth signings. These are players aged 21 to 25, the perfect age bracket. As former head of research at Liverpool, Ian Graham once explained, because that is when players have a development going upwards and they are able to still provide an immediate performance. What makes this window different is simple. This is the first time Liverpool are strengthening from a position of power. When they won the Champions League in 2019, no signings. When they won their first Premier League in 2020, nothing changed. But this time, under Arne Slot, Liverpool are building to stay on top. They're being ruthless and underperformers are being taken out. They're refreshing key positions and they are targeting players who can start now and make a difference. Honestly, Liverpool might be one Alexander Isak away from being the top team in the Premier League, and it's a scary thought for the rest of the Premier League. I hope you enjoyed this full breakdown as to why I believe Liverpool's 2026 squad looks terrifying, and it's only going to get stronger with each signing. Let me know in the comments though, which signing are you most excited about, and who do you think still needs to come in? Which positions do Liverpool still need to improve on? Also, tell me what other Liverpool related videos you want to see next, and I'll definitely add them to the list, or even any type of football video you want to see. If you enjoyed this video though, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you hit that notification bell so you know whenever I upload. It's exciting times for Liverpool. Thanks for watching, and peace.